Hello there. Welcome to France.
Well, this is looking quite murky, isn't it? Hello, welcome to the French Grand Prix with your hyperactive commentary. Commentary. I've already screwed up and it's been, 15 seconds. God, you could have at least given the grid girls some brollies. They are getting really, really wet. They haven't even got any boards out. Anyway, Pedro de la Rosa is on pole. Irvine is in second. Villeneuve and Panis are in third and fourth. They're 2 seconds back. I've already done the grid before. Why do I need to do this again? Bernardi fifth and Frenton is in sixth place. Then we've got the two McLarens of Raikkonen and Coulthard, seventh and eighth. Massa and McNish, ninth and 10th. Then we've got Mika Salo's in 11th place. Mark Webber's in 12th. Young is in 13th place and Barrichello's in 14th. Juan Pablo Montoya in 15th. Trulli in 16th. Then we have Jenson Button in 17th. Ralf Schumacher in 18th place. Heidfeld, a long way down from his teammates, in 19th place. And the mobile chicane, that is Michael Schumacher's in 20th place. That's a very long camera thing. And we are away. They go down towards the first corner. It's a very quick first corner. And Pedro de la Rosa is in the lead. It looks like it's an Arrows has managed to go up into 4th place there. Not sure which one it is yet. And as they come down towards the hairpin, it's both Arrows that have managed to get in front of the BAR. Oh, they've touched! The Jaguars have hit each other! Irvine has spun! It's a very audacious overtake. But he's only gone down to 4th place. Bernardi has managed to find his way into 3rd place. Behind the BAR, Pedro de la Rosa is getting away now. Irvine has no way of overtaking. That Arrows. This is Jacques Villeneuve. He's in 2nd place. Got a little bit of a lead from the Arrows, but you can't even see the Jaguar. Come on. Pedro de la Rosa has flown down the racetrack as they come to the other chicane. And towards the final corner, he's already opened up a 3.5 second lead. Which is just stupid, if you ask me. Very stupid. Irvine, 4th place. We've got Panis is in 5th place. He's managed to re-overtake the Arrows of Frenton, who is in 6th place. The two McLarens line astern, 7th and 8th place. That's a Sauber of Felipe Massa, 9th place, managed to stay where he was. Alan McNish, 10th. 11th place is his teammate, who is Mika Salo, of course. The two Minardis line astern as Webber has a look past Young. Is he going to do it? No. Trulli, 14th. I think that's a good start. I don't know where they qualified. Schumacher 15th. Ralph, that is. Ralf Schumacher. Juan Pablo Montoya is 16th place. And that is Barrichello in 17th. He has a little bit of a lead from Button, who's in 18th. Schumacher has managed to get in front of Heidfeld. For how much longer? The German's looking down his inside. As we have a replay of one of the Arrows. This looks like Bernardi. And he's gone straight off. Brake failure we are hearing for the Arrows. And that is an early trip to the bath for Enrique Bernardi. A brake failure has pitched him into a wall. That is not going to make his manager pleased. Pedro de la Rosa leads the French Grand Prix by 6.7 seconds. 6.7 seconds he leads. That is ridiculous. Just please someone stop him. Can a Thunderbolt just this is wishful thinking. Button 17th, Schumacher 18th, and Heidfeld 19th and last. Now with Bernardi already out, Heidfeld 35 seconds behind Pedro de la Rosa. So, whilst it's all looking calm at the moment, we have the little bit of discussion going on here about the base values of these cars. It's clear to see that the Jaguar has the best car of the lot of them. Their base value, in the wet at least, is 5, with their race ability 6.5. Now the lowest the race ability can go is 6, so he is nearly maxed out. Meaning that this is pretty much the quickest he's going to be able to go. So surely the rest of them should be able to catch up with them. But surprisingly, it's not the BARs that is second. It's in fact the Arrows that is second. They're only one behind the Jaguar at 7.5. But as you can see, they're being absolutely swamped by the BAR, which is really surprising. Meaning that some wizardry is going on here, I reckon. Because the BAR is only on 9. So you'd think they'd be a lot more slower. But what I haven't noted was the passing percentage, which BAR's is quite high compared to the Arrows. But the Arrows are working on that down in wherever they're based in the UK. So hopefully they'll see a bit of an improvement. It's Toyota and Minardi who are the next one. They're both got the same car, 9.5. But in this race, they're really far down. They're in 8th and 9th place, I believe. The Toyotas, with the Minardis even further back from them. So obviously a lot of work has to be done between them two teams to improve them. As we shall take a look back at the race to see that Pedro de la Rosa is leading by 11.5 seconds after 5 laps. Moving back to next car is Sauber, who's on 11.5. Now the Saubers aren't having a good race here at the moment. They are well down the field. At least last time we checked, Heidfeld was in last. Massa was doing really well. He's in 8th now. But you expect a lot better from especially Heidfeld, who managed to end up qualifying nearly last compared to his teammate. And then, surprisingly, the next one is Williams, who has been rather lagging at the back of the field for quite some time since their win in Brazil. After that win in Brazil, they've had 3 podiums this season. But with their past performances, you'd think there might be a bit of a fluke, especially with where they're positioned so far in this race. And surprisingly, the next team with an ability of 13 is McLaren. As we see an overtake there, cutting up as well. Juan Pablo Montoya has cut up Ralph Schumacher. But yeah, McLaren is a race ability of 13, which is the 8th best car. But especially if you look at their performances, they had a 5th and a 7th last race. They had a 6th the race before, 5th race before, 3rd race before that. Albeit they had 3 retirements as well. You'd say that they're overperforming what their car is capable of. I don't know if they're using a lot more risk in what they're doing, but it's certainly very impressive to see them this high up with their car ability. As we see a replay here, this is the BAR. who has just exited the pits. This is the BAR of Villeneuve. It's coming out of the pits now. And straight onto the track. That looks to be a problem for the BAR, which is a shame because he was holding up the Jaguar quite nicely. But alas, its second place is no more, as we now have a Jaguar 1-2 after the BAR pitted and subsequently retired. Pedro De La Rosa is already going to lap the Sauber of Heidfeld. I think is how it felt, at least. Heidfeld running in, I presume, is last place. Olivier Panis is 21 seconds behind the leader. Frentzen 25 seconds behind Pedro De La Rosa. It's just unstoppable. Okay, the Sauber is not last. That is the Ferrari of Michael Schumacher. Look how much Irvine closed him down coming towards the hairpin. That's absolutely ridiculous. McNish in 7th and Massa in 8th. I missed who was in 6th place. Well done. I believe it's the two McLarens actually in 5th and 6th. Young in 8th and Massa 9th, and the standings have gone because the Jaguar is about to... That's the arrow still parked up there. Well, good job, game. As the BAR has passed the Ferrari, which means... Is it? Yeah, it's the same Ferrari. Oh no, it's not. That's the other Ferrari, who was just as slow. They are literally just moving chicanes and Ferraris. They should not be on that track, as the BAR of Panis pits from 3rd place. The BAR's adopting their early pit stop stance that they usually have, and it's a 8.3 second stop for the BAR boys, and we have no idea if that is good or not. Could be good, could be rubbish, who knows? I don't know. This goes around the second corner. We're going to go back to the last two cars to discuss, which is Renault and Ferrari, both with the same raceability, but Renault have the edge over Ferrari by quite a considerable distance. The Ferraris are just terribly slow. I don't know what the manager has done, but it's painful to watch what used to be one of the best cars in Formula 1 just tumble down to the back. Then again, the Renaults aren't much better. Maybe they spent all their money too early and they've just not been able to recuperate the money back. We don't know. But as Pedro De La Rosa leads by 11 seconds over his Northern Irish teammate Eddie Irvine. We're going to look at past race results here, and we can just see how dominating the Jaguars have been. If we just look at Pedro De La Rosa, who currently leads the championship, his past couple of races, second, first, second, non-stop, fifth, third. If we take out the fact that he retired from the first race, he has scored and the fact that he didn't start, he has scored in pretty much every single race as Pedro De La Rosa pits from the lead. Yet he only has a 6-point lead over Panis, with Panis getting third, 19th, 9th, second, 9th, 4th. Is that one? Is that Panis or Villeneuve? That was Villeneuve. Panis has 4th, 4th, 3rd, 4th, 3rd, 5th, 4th, 4th, 2nd, 1st. So he's only had 2 podiums. And there's only been 1 victory in the BAR camp, which is less than Arrow's, the same as Williams. and Toyota. But the BARs are only 3 points behind Jaguar now. And having lived for so long before the Jaguars' resurgence, the manager has done a very good job. This is David Coulthard trying to overtake the Ferrari in chicane. And he is smashed into the... Oh, that is a terrible accident there for David Coulthard. He smashed into the back of the Ferrari. Maybe unsided. Maybe tried getting into the pits, but the Ferrari wasn't pitting. But that is also the Ferrari out. I believe that is Barrichello. David Coulthard again in a terrible shunt. And that is the Barrichello going incredibly slowly without his rear wing. Barrichello surely out as well. Here's Eddie Irvine coming to lap the Toyotas, but going into the pits. We believe he's one of the final people to make a stop. He's following the Renault into the pits. I think that's the Renault of Trulli he's following. We're going to see, and that is the Renault coming out of the pits. Frenson's coming in as well by the looks of it. And away goes Irvine in front of the Williams. On board now with Felipe Massa, who's in 6th place at the moment. Presumably not made a stop yet. There's Kimi Raikkonen, the sole remaining McLaren now, who is in 5th place. That's just... Look at the McLaren in the pits of Coulthard. No wheels on the front of his car. Broken front wing. 8.7 stop for Raikkonen. Right, we go looking back at the teams. We're going as Panis looking to pass Frenson, and he sticks the pass. It's a great pass there for the BAR. Anyway, going back, we're going to look at Arrows now, who had a fantastic start, winning the first race, lacklustre in the second race, but a 1-2 in Britain. The first 1-2 we had seen, but they were going to be the ones to beat. However, they had 2 non-finishes in the next race, a 3rd and a 17th in the race after, then another 2 non-finishes, and then they've been rather lacklustre in the next couple of races. They had a 8th, 10th, 6th, 8th, 7th, 8th and 6th between the 2 drivers. So after their fantastic start, who maybe their budget is taking a pounding from the start of the season. Who knows? But they've just not been able to keep up with development from the Jaguar and the BAR, and they've ended up 49 points behind the Jaguars. It's still doable. They can still catch up, but it's going to take a miracle for it to happen, especially with the pace of the Jaguars at the moment. As they start the 14th lap here, Pedro de Rosa leads the French Grand Prix. And there's Irvine going across the finish line. 11.5 seconds behind De La Rosa, but he's 18 seconds in front of Panis. So they look rather not going to be called anytime soon. And then the next 2, Panis and Frenson, 3rd and 4th. It's a good showing for the Arrows compared to their before-mentioned results. The sole remaining McLaren in 5th place. Again, over-exceeding what their car should be capable of, with Massa in actual 6th place. Started 9th, remember, McNish in 7th place. Now the Toyotas are quite interesting because, as mentioned, they have one of the better cars. They've got the 4th best car. However, their results have been rather, not mean to say this, but poor. They've only had 2 podiums. That is an accident there that I've completely missed. That is Alex Young with smashed up rear wing. He's out of the race and has also taken the front wing off of Salo, and that is Pedro de la Rosa now being held up by the slow Toyota of Salo. And now he finally gets let go by the sole remaining minority now, Mark Webber, as Mark Webber now finally overtakes Mika Salo, who is incredibly slow now. He's lost his front wing. Luckily, he was due a pit stop, we reckon, in the next 1 or 2 laps, so it's not going to scupper his chances of points. But Jarno Trulli is now catching him quite quickly. Was that Williams passing him, but not for position? That can't have been a Williams. I don't know who bought that car. It might have been a McLaren actually. Juan Pablo Montoya was in 12th place. Then we have Button 13th. And Heitfeld 14th. The Ferraris are that far back they still haven't overtaken Young, who retired on the pit lane. And there's Mika Salo finally back into the pits to change that front wing. How much has this sculpted his chances of points? The seconds tick. He's now refueled back to the end. It's a 9-second stop. Is he going to get out ahead of the Sauber? Yes. No. It's going to be close. That Sauber is very close, but no. The Toyota is now stuck behind Heitfeld. Michael Schumacher is 40 seconds behind these lot. I forgot, it's the only sole remaining Ferrari. The other Ferrari retired. Pedro de la Rosa now leads by 22 seconds. It was Irvine that got caught up behind the Toyota. All the luck is falling into De La Rosa's favour. Surely nothing can stop him from winning this title. Although there is only 4 races and anything can happen in them 4 races. Going back to the previously mentioned standings, it's now Minardi's turn to be mentioned. Now Minardi had an alright start. They had a 7th and a 5th in the first race, and then coupled with a 10th and a 7th, and then a 3rd and a 7th. It was a decent start. It looked like they could be top of the mid end, maybe pushing into the higher end of the top 3. And that is a Williams with smoke pouring out the back of his engine. Not sure which Williams it is. It looks to be Montoya, as the Ferrari nearly took out Frentzen. Come on. You're already in mobile chicane as it is. Now you're nearly taking out the Arrows, who is fighting for 4th. And 4th only, because Panis is far down the field, 7 seconds in front of the Arrows, with the Arrows something like 25 seconds ahead of the sole remaining McLaren. Lot of only 1 driver left in the teams now in this race. Quite a lot of people have retired through mechanical issues or crashes. Because only the Jaguars, the Renaults, the Toyotas left, and the Saubers left with both their drivers still in the race. quite a high attrition rate. As we're on board with the third placed Panis, who is now entering the pit lane. Lap 18. Entering the pit for what should be his second and final stop. Into the pit box now. Should be quite a quick stop. Should be out well ahead of Raikkonen. 6.8 second stop. Enough fuel to last him till the end. And away he goes. Is he going to go ahead of that Ferrari? The Ferrari could hold him off if he... Nope, he's managed to get ahead of the Ferrari. That's good news for Panis. Now he can chase the gap to Frentzen. But remember, Frentzen still has to stop. So to both the Jaguars. Irvine is actually catching up to Pedro De La Rosa because De La Rosa is stuck behind Kimi Raikkonen in 6th. And away he goes past the McLaren, who is, like I said, in 6th place. Is he going to win by a lap again? Surely not. He won by a lap in America. Surely it can't happen again. Anyway, going back to Minardi after we saw the Williams parked up. They had a very good 3 first races, and then it's been rather meh for the rest of the season. They had 11 and 8, they had 2 non-score finishes in the next 2 races, and then in the next 3 races they had a 5th, 4th and 2nd, but only for one of their drivers. Their other driver must have retired by the looks of things. Apart from they had an 11th, so maybe not. But you'd have thought from the start of the season it would have been alright, and then what didn't help was the change in manager halfway through the season. And now they've had another change in manager we're hearing reports of. Maybe because of the unhappy results, especially with the fact that in the previous 2 races they've already scored 1 point, which means they've fallen further behind Arrows and McLaren, who have been consistently scoring, and falling into the grasp of Williams, who are on 48 points, 10 points behind Minardi. But again, you'd have thought maybe you'd see a little bit better in the Minardis. Saying that, one of the most disappointing teams out there is Toyota, who, along with Minardi, have the same car, pretty much the same ability car, but the results have been mediocre at best. They started off with a 2nd in Australia, and thought they could be one of the front runners for the title. And then I had that was a voice break. Then I had a non-score in Malaysia. Then I had a 4th place in Britain. They got disqualified from the race after that, as Irvine looks to try and pass the Toyota. This looks to be a final lap stop for Irvine unless he can get to the end. Just imagine the scenes if he can get to the end of the race. Although we're down to the final 2, we're right down to the final 2 laps, so we're going to quickly discuss the Toyota. They managed to get 2 points in the next race after that. They managed to win the race after that. So maybe we thought they could have done better than that, and then they had 6th for the 10th, and then 2 9ths. Let's see a replay of the Sauber slowing down and grinding to a halt. That I don't know which Sauber that is. I think that is Heidfeld retiring. Yeah, Nick Heidfeld retires from what poor 13th, poor day at the office. Ralf Schumacher in 11th place. It's Trulli 10th in the final point scoring position, as Mika Salo makes way for the Jaguar. As the Jaguars are coming toward the final lap. That is Webber have no rear wing. What has happened here? There's the McLaren of Kimi Raikkonen. The camera guy is terrible. There's Mark Webber. And he's just been taken out by the McLaren of Kimi Raikkonen. We're having another replay, different angle. This is the angle from Kimi. Kimi was catching up to do, and he's done exactly the same thing as what David Coulthard did. And then the Jaguars just drove into him. The Jaguars drove into him. Which Jaguar was that? We're on board with him. He was going into the pits, saw the McLaren parked there, couldn't turn out the way in time, and that is Eddie Irvine. And then to make matters worse, Pedro De La Rosa was just driven into the back of him. Now Pedro De La Rosa is going around with no front wing. There's absolute drama here on the final lap. Pedro De La Rosa is driving around with no front wing. Will he be able to get to the end? Eddie Irvine is out as well. He won't be scoring any points, it looks like. There is Heinz-Harald Frentzen going into the pits now from second place. That's his second pit stop. This is going to be Panis. This is going to be Panis up into second place. Irvine might actually still score points because he was that far ahead of everyone else. He might still get low-end points. Panis is in second. Frenson's in third place. There's going to be quite a little bit of a gap. Pedro De La Rosa looks to be alright. He's 30 seconds ahead of Olivier Panis. I mean, it could have been a lot. If this was maybe the last before lap, the BAR might have been able to catch the Jaguar, who is going now incredibly slowly, but he's going towards the final couple of turns. He's just got the chicane in the final corner to negotiate with no front wing. There's the Renault trying to overtake him. Goes through the chicane quite well, and then goes around the final corner. Pedro De La Rosa, lucky you might say, but he wins the French Grand Prix and extends his lead in the championship. But he won't like the fact that Panis is finished in second place. Eventually, he still had quite a long lead, despite the fact he had no front wing. Go on. There you are. Panis finishes in second place. So De La Rosa only extends his lead by 1 point. Extends the lead to 7 points. Villeneuve and Irvine both non-score. Neither does David Coulthard. And Frentzen finishes in third. That will boost him up the standings. Boost him to to the same amount of points as Coulthard, but probably going to be ahead of him on count back by the fact that Frentzen has won a race and Coulthard has not. And now there's a bit of a train there forming behind the Jaguar. Obviously it's a slow down lap. As they slowly go towards the final corner. Final corner before they go back into the pits into Parc Fermé. Obviously no front wing. Bit of a drama here on the final laps. We didn't expect to see the drama as it was. Hopefully it's going to be a little bit drier as well for Germany. Because if it keeps on going wet, then no one will be able to catch the Jaguars with their wet setup. The final results here. Pedro de la Rosa wins, with Panis and Frenson rounding off the podium. Massa is in 4th place, a very good result for the Sauber team. That will help them catch up to the Williams, maybe the Toyotas, although the Toyotas did a really good points finish. Especially with the fact that they've finished 5th and 6th. After their terrible qualifying, they managed to finish 5th and 6th. McNish ahead of Sarlo. Sarlo, remember, losing his front wing early on as well. Eddie Irvine, despite the fact he crashed, before he even crossed the finish line, if he crossed the finish line, he would have finished 4th. But he couldn't get across the finish line. He finishes in 7th place. So he still gains points. He still jumps ahead of Villeneuve, which also extends Jaguars' advantage over BAR to, I think, 7 points. Jarno Trulli finishes in 8th place. That won't move him up the standings. Mark Webber is in 9th place. Again, oh no, that will leapfrog him above Heitfeld into the top 10. After Nick Heitfeld didn't score. And rounding off the points, Ralf Schumacher, which will please the Williams boys who had a terrible race. And then we don't need to look at the rest of the stragglers. Apart from, it's nice to see that the Merwell chicane finished 3 laps down, still behind Kimi Raikkonen. What does Kimi Raikkonen have to say about that?
I don't know.
Trap full as always. Anyway, that was the French Grand Prix. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.